In 1984, a biologist watched something that should not have been possible. A vampire bat, weak, hungry, running out of options, was given a meal by another bat nearby. Not her mother, not her sister, a bat she was not related to at all. But what you are about to discover is far stranger and far more personal, because animals may have best friends, real ones, the kind you choose, the kind you keep for years. And once you see the evidence, you may never think about your own closest friendship the same way again. Your brain wants friendship to make simple sense. Family helps family. That is easy math. Protect your genes, protect your group, nothing more. But a bat sharing her only meal with someone who shares none of her genes, that breaks the math completely. Researcher Gerald Carter spent years tracking these bats in the dark, and he found something remarkable. The bats who received help were not random. They were specific individuals, chosen partners. Some bats built these feeding partnerships over years, long before either one ever truly needed the favor returned. Scientists have a decoded term for this: reciprocal bonding. Helping now, trusting that help will come back later, from a friend who remembers you. Feel that for a second. A creature the size of your thumb, hanging upside down in total darkness, keeping track of who has been kind to her. Keeping score, not out of instinct alone, but something closer to loyalty. If a bat can do that, what else has friendship been hiding from you, in plain sight, this whole time? Let's go bigger. Let's go to Kenya, to the Amboseli Plains, where researcher Cynthia Moss followed elephant families for decades. Here is what she found. Elephants do not just travel with family. Within the herd, certain females seek out the same companion over and over for 20, 30, sometimes 40 years. They stand close to her during storms. They rest their trunks on her back when she is anxious. When she is missing from the group, they search, not for any elephant, for her specifically, out of dozens of familiar faces. Here is the part that stops people cold. When researchers tracked stress hormones in these elephants, the readings dropped whenever a preferred companion stood nearby. Not any elephant, her elephant. The one she had chosen, out of an entire herd, to keep close for most of her life. Calves born decades apart still grow up standing near that same chosen pair, as if the friendship itself becomes part of the family's shape. But that is not even the strangest part of what friendship looks like out there. Travel now to the warm waters of Shark Bay, Australia, where male dolphins form alliances that last for decades. These are not random swimming buddies. These are calculated, chosen, carefully maintained relationships. Dolphins whistle unique signature sounds, almost like names, and they use those names to call out to specific partners across long distances underwater. Not the whole pod, one dolphin, the one who has their back when a rival group approaches. Some of these alliances involve 2 dolphins, some involve 3, working together the way a small, tight crew might. And within those circles, loyalty is fierce. Dolphins that have been separated for months will recognize a partner's signature whistle instantly, responding the way you might respond to hearing an old friend's voice again after years apart. Distance does not erase it. Time does not erase it. Somehow, the bond just waits, ready to pick back up exactly where it left off. If you have made it this far, you already know you are not the kind of person who scrolls past this stuff. You actually stop and wonder what else is out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be noticed. This channel exists for people exactly like you. Hit subscribe, and every week you will find another piece of the natural world that makes life feel a little more connected. Now, here is where the story gets even more personal. Because friendship this deep is not only found in the ocean or on the open savanna. Watch a pair of horses in an open field sometime. You will notice something curious. Out of an entire herd, 2 horses often stand together, tails swishing in sync, resting their heads on each other's backs, grooming the exact same small patch of skin, again and again. Researchers call this allo-grooming, which is simply the scientific way of saying returning the favor of a good scratch. But here is the detail that matters most. Horses do not groom just anyone. They groom their chosen partner far more often than any other horse in the group, sometimes for years, sometimes for an entire lifetime. even when new horses join the herd and old rivalries fade. And it is not only the large, familiar animals doing this. Watch a group of crows on a wire sometime. Crows recognize individual faces, remember individual kindnesses and individual grudges, and return to the same partner for years of coordinated foraging and mutual defense. Two crows will call back and forth, almost like checking in, long after the rest of the flock has scattered and moved on. Break up that pair, and each one will search, calling, until they find each other again. Even chimpanzees, some of our closest living relatives, choose specific partners for what looks remarkably like emotional repair. Researcher Franz de Waal documented chimpanzees seeking out one preferred companion after a tense conflict, not for food, not for protection, but seemingly just to reconnect. A touch on the shoulder, a quiet embrace, a calm moment sitting side by side, as if checking that the bond still holds. What is striking is how selective all of this is. A chimpanzee does not simply reconcile with whoever happens to be nearby. It searches the group, sometimes for several minutes, until it finds that one particular companion. Everyone else can wait. This one cannot. There is one more place to look, somewhere colder, somewhere quieter. Wolves. Inside a wolf pack, you would expect every member to treat every other member the same way. One family, one unit, one shared instinct. But field researchers tracking wild wolf packs across multiple winters noticed something that did not fit that tidy picture. Certain wolves consistently traveled side by side, hunted side by side, and rested pressed together at the edge of the group, long after litters had grown, long after the original reason for closeness had faded. When one of that pair wandered off to scout, the other would pace, ears up, watching the tree line, until its partner reappeared, not anxious about the whole pack, anxious about one wolf, the one it had chosen. Even in the far colder waters near the poles, orcas form pods built around lifelong companions, some staying within calling distance of the same one or two individuals for their entire lives, decades long, surfacing together, diving together, never drifting more than a breath apart for long. Here is the twist that changes everything you thought you knew about instinct. For a long time, scientists assumed animal bonds were only about survival math. Protect my genes, protect my group. Nothing more, nothing sentimental. But bats sharing meals with unrelated partners. Elephants seeking one specific companion out of an entire herd. Dolphins memorizing a friend's whistle across years of separation. None of that is required for pure survival math to work. It costs energy. It costs risk. It offers no guaranteed genetic payoff. And yet it happens, again and again, across species that never even crossed paths on the evolutionary tree, which means something in you, in every one of us, might be far older and far less uniquely human than you ever assumed. Friendship may not be something humans invented and animals merely borrowed a rough version of. It may be the other way around. We may simply be the species that finally put a word to something far more ancient, and this is where it gets harder to look away. Because when researchers measured cortisol, the body's built-in stress signal, animals with one close, stable, bonded partner consistently showed calmer readings than animals without one, not just less startled in the moment, steadier over months, steadier over years. Friendship, it turns out, is not a bonus feature layered casually on top of survival. For a horse, a dolphin, an elephant, a bat hanging quietly in the dark, friendship may be part of survival itself, woven into the biology, not floating somewhere above it. Think about your own life for a second. The one friend you call first when something goes wrong. The voice that instantly steadies you. The same way a signature whistle steadies a dolphin across open water it cannot even see across. The person you would help without keeping count. The same way a bat shares her only meal with someone she trusts, will be there when the roles eventually reverse. Think about the friend you quietly worry about. The way that Wolf paced the tree line, even if worrying for you just means checking your phone one more time to see if they landed safely, if they made it home, if they are okay. That instinct in you did not appear out of nowhere. It is old, older than language, maybe even older than being human at all. And maybe that is the real reason this keeps surprising scientists, not because animals are becoming more like us, but because we were never as separate from them as we liked to believe. The same quiet loyalty that keeps two elephants leaning on each other through a storm is sitting inside your own chest right now, wearing a slightly different shape, running on the exact same ancient wiring. So the next time you see two elephants leaning into each other through a passing storm, or two horses standing tail to head in a quiet field, or you feel your phone buzz with a message from your closest friend, remember the bat from 1984. Remember a creature the size of your thumb, in total darkness, choosing to help someone who was not her family simply because that bond mattered enough to her to keep. Somewhere between the bats, the elephants, the dolphins, the horses, the crows, and you, friendship never stopped being one of the most important things a living creature can carry. If you have ever had a friend who felt more like family than family itself, leave a comment and tell that story. And if this made you see the animals around you a little differently, a like helps this reach someone who needs to feel it too.